Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to LisaBug Yoga for Functional Posture in the month of May 2024. So we spend our life sitting a lot. So when we're sitting, this area of our body is tight. It's the hip flexors. So over time, if our hip flexors are really tight, if you imagine I'm going to put my thumbs, and you can try this with me if you want, on my frontal hip bones called the ASIS, and then down below on my thighs, if I try to bring those areas closer together, and I'm overemphasizing this, but my butt starts to stick back, and this increases this lower back curve, and then pretty soon throughout the day, the back hurts and our posture is out of good alignment. So in order to release and stretch the hip flexors, we also need to have strong glutes. So today in class, we're going to be focusing on engaging our glutes to release our hip flexors. It's that principle called reciprocal inhibition. I want to warm up the hips really nicely so you feel comfortable through a good range of motion. And we're going to be focusing on some balance as well too. So I have a chair, and I'm just going to bring it off to the right side of my body if I need it for a little bit of balance. You can use a wall as well. And we're just going to bring the right knee up, circle it around, and set the foot back down, maybe just tapping it to the floor. So right knee up, circle around, and tap down. Sometimes when we lift the knee up, we have a tendency to then try to bring our chest down to meet the knee. But I want you to think about really good posture as you draw your shoulders back. So you're standing really tall. 2 more on this side. And 1 more. And set that foot down. We'll do the same thing on the left. So the knee comes up, we open out. Ooh, that's my tender hips. So I'm going to do a little smaller one. And that's just a good reminder to everybody that every day we're kind of diagnosing how our body feels, and we always want to move through a pain-free range of motion. So if you feel any pinching or pain, just kind of back off, make some adjustments on that side. We'll do 2 more on the left. Reconnect and reset your posture. And 1 more. Good. Now pick up the right knee again, but keep it facing down toward the floor and just bend the knee. So I'm going to kind of turn this way. So I have my knees pretty close to one another. This knee isn't forward. And I'm going to push the foot back and back to neutral. So again, from your side view, it goes back, back to neutral, back. So you're feeling the glute activating, and then this hip flexor stretching. Good. Push back and release. Back. Now I want to put that with a circle. So push back, then bring it up and come around. Push back, lift, and come around. And as best as you can, try not to move your pelvis at all when you're doing this. I want you to just find this movement from that right thigh bone. Do 2 more. Press back, squeeze the glute, lift up and circle. 1 more, we go back, lift, and circle. Good. On the other leg, just bend the knee. It's pointing down. So we're not starting with it forward. And then just push back. Sometimes when I do an exercise like this, my hamstring wants to seize up a little bit. So be really careful of the muscle in the back of your leg that you're not getting any cramping. If you do, don't work through it. Give yourself a stretch and lengthen it out. When you push back, make sure you're not arching your back to get it back further. So keep your abs really engaged. Then add this to our circle. So we'll push back, lift, and come around. Exhale, back. Inhale. Exhale. Breathe in. Good. 2 more. Push back. Lift and circle. 1 more. Back. Lift and circle. Good. Set that foot down. Find a good mountain pose, maybe about hips distance apart with the feet. A little closer, a little wider. That's absolutely fine. We'll breathe in. Exhale, bend your knees and come to a half forward fold. So I'm going to soften the knees, flatten my back, and bring the hands maybe to the thighs, or you can come up down a little deeper to the shins. And then we'll breathe in. Swan dive, half forward fold. And you can have as much of a knee bend as you need to on these first ones this morning. Breathe in. Half forward fold. Now that you've got this, when you come up, I want you to use your glute muscles to stand. So fire the back of the glutes, push your hips forward a little bit, so there'll be a little bit of baby back bend. So we're stretching out right here in the hip flexors, and then soften your knees and come down. Now just make it small. It's just a little bit of engagement of the glutes as you press the hips forward, stretch, and come on down. With the breath, inhale, squeeze the glutes, press the hips forward. And down. Let's get 2 more of these. So we're just basically moving our hips, our thighs through flexion and extension. 1 more. And we'll bring it all the way to the top. Inhale. Little baby back bend, pressing the hips forward. Just draw your thumbs right into the heart center. Okay, I'm going to use my chair here if I need it for balance. So have something available if needed. We'll take the right foot and pick it up and just tap it behind, and you can keep it on the floor with your heel up. Then I want you to tense your glute, squeeze it, and open up this right hip flexor. Take your right arm up, and then a small side bend to the left. If you don't need the chair, just put your left hand on your hip. So this is just a precursor to our standing warrior 1 and our standing high crescent lunge. And then come back up from the side bend, lower the arm down, step the back foot in to meet the front foot. Tap the left foot behind you, so you have that kind of split stance. Tense your left glute. Give it a tight, tight squeeze to release your hip flexor. Lift your left arm. Side stretch over to the right. And both of my legs are pretty straight here. Eventually we'll be doing this into more of a lunge position. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, release the arm and step the back foot forward. Now we'll take a bigger step back with the right foot. Bend the left knee and press your heel down into the mat. Now you can have a little bit of a turnout with this back foot, but not much, because once we turn out, we kind of lose the hip flexor stretch. So try to keep it parallel and forward. We'll lift that left arm. We're tensing the right arm lifts. Right glute is tense. We can take that side stretch over to the left side. Now, I know we have folks in class with shoulder issues, and lifting your arm up sometimes isn't comfortable. So you don't have to add the arm. You can keep it maybe down here on your shoulder and just stretch through the side waist. And then we'll breathe in, come back up. Step the back foot forward. Left foot steps back. Right knee bends. We push the heel down into the floor. Lift the left arm. Tense your left glute. So you're activating back here in the back side. Side stretch over to the right. There's an element of balance here and core control. Keep breathing. Inhale back up. Exhale, lower the arms, step the back foot forward. Now let's see how far we can comfortably step that right foot back. So take a little bit bigger step, bend your front knee, push your heel to the mat, come on up. Lift the right arm, tense the right glute, side stretch left. And I'm feeling a great stretch in my calf muscle on that right leg as well. Inhale up, lower the arm, step the back foot forward. Maybe you're using your chair for a little bit of assistance. Reset your posture, so make sure you're standing really tall throughout this progression. Take a nice big step back with your left foot, bending your right knee, press that heel to the floor. Left arm lifts, engage your left glute, side stretch right. Feeling some really nice muscle stretching here. A lot of different spots. Inhale, come up. Exhale, step the back foot forward. One more time, without the heel touching the floor, we can take a bigger step back into high crescent lunge. So the right foot steps way back. We're on the ball of the back foot, the heel is up. Now, if that doesn't feel okay, go ahead and step a little closer forward, set that heel down. This is harder for balance. So if you need to separate your feet a little wider from side to side, that will help you with your stability. Squeeze the right glute, lift the right arm, side stretch left. Remembering that you're choosing any of these layers as we progress and staying with what works best for your body. Inhale back up. Exhale. I'm going to reach for that chair to help me step forward. Good. Now, are you feeling anything in your low back? From time to time, when we stretch that hip flexor, it actually attaches back here. So we start to maybe feel a little tension. So you can pause for a moment, maybe round your back, tuck your tailbone. I don't want you to feel a lot of back tension with this series. Okay, last one on the left. We'll step it way back. Heel is up. Stabilize. Make sure you have your balance. Using the chair if needed, it's there for you, or the wall. Lift your left arm, tension in your left glute. Side stretch to the right. When I say tension in the glute, it doesn't have to be switched on at a level 9. You're just contracting it a little bit. It's just enough to send that neuromuscular message to your hip flexor to inhibit it, to shut it off, to allow it to relax. Inhale back up. Release the arm. Step the back foot forward. Good. Okay, now we'll do this with our Warrior 3 balance pose. So your fingertips can be on the chair. We'll take the right foot back, and you can start by tapping it to the floor. And then maybe your Warrior 3 just looks like this. You're letting go, you have the big toe down. Or we can start to tip the body forward like a little teeter-totter and tense this muscle and try to lift the leg up just a little bit. Your hands can be on the chair, or maybe you're taking one hand off or both. It doesn't matter where your arms are. They can be at your heart center, behind you, kind of in an airplane arm. The classical pose is reaching the fingertips out close to the ears. Good. Couple more breaths here. Keep this tension going in the glute. Hips are squared to the floor. One more breath. And then use the strength of the standing leg to pull your body back up. Pause if you need that back stretch. Just go ahead and hinge forward a little bit. Tuck your tailbone, lengthen out that lumbar area. That's a lot of work in the standing leg as well. Okay, other side. So your left toes will tap behind you. Level 1, we just reach hands anywhere and we can hold this. Or we start to pick that foot up off the floor and we start to teeter-totter. So what I don't want to see is for you to leave your leg down and for you to do your warrior 3 like this. So try to keep this long straight line through the hip flexors as we tip forward. Engage your left glute. Try to lift your leg up just a little bit more, maybe an inch, and then see where you can take this with balance on this side. And if you're using your chair, maybe you're just tapping one little finger or 2 fingers. It's amazing how much that helps you to be successful in this balance pose. 2 more breaths. See if you can tweak it just a little bit. 1 more breath. And rising up. Excellent. If you need that back stretch, just soften your knees, round and fold. Okay, we are going to take this down to the floor to what we call the low lunge or the kneeling lunge. If coming onto your knees and coming all the way down doesn't work, then you have all of those other options that we just did with this sequence and you can stay standing up. I'm going to slide my blanket over to where my knees are going to come down. And I'm also going to turn my chair around this way so I can use it with my hands to help me stand up off the floor and to guide me down. Okay, I'll give you another couple seconds to get situated. Find a good mountain pose, draw your shoulders back. And then using the chair if you want, let's inhale, sweep up. Soften the knees, exhale, kind of into that half forward fold we did at the beginning of class, putting your hands on the chair, and we'll step the right foot way back and then guide yourself down to put your knee down onto the mat. Okay, the goal that we want is for this back knee to be behind the hip. So this would be incorrect if I was this way and my knee was either down or slightly forward of the hip because we want to open this up. So we're going to take that knee way back behind us. And maybe this is enough stretch for you right now. And we'll add that right arm if that feels comfortable. We'll tense this right glute and side stretch to the left. And remember, you can do this standing. Okay, coming up from the floor sometimes can be challenging. So I've got the chair here. I'm going to tuck my back toe under to lift my knee up off the floor. And then I'm going to take a nice big step forward. You might need a couple little steps just to inch yourself up and stand. All right, if you're with me, we'll do the same sequence. Inhale. Exhale, soften the knees, half forward fold, hands to the chair. Take your left foot way back. Guide yourself down to allow your knee to find the mat. This is my surgical knee, so I'm just kind of seeing what I can manage here. Okay, your option, lift your left arm. We're tensing the left glute. We're side stretching to the right. Inhale, come up. Hand to the chair. And you might not come up the way I do, but this works for me. I tuck my toes under so I can lift my knee up. And then I'm going to step that back foot all the way forward. Standing up. Now, if you don't need the chair, you can do hands on the floor for this. So I'm going to actually give it a go because we're going to do one more on each side. I'm going to see if I can do it without the chair. Okay, well, inhale, reach. Exhale and swan dive. So if you're bypassing the chair, your hands are going to come all the way down to the mat. We'll step the right foot way back, drop the knee down, and come up. I'm just supporting here on my thigh because I don't have the chair to kind of help me at this moment. See if I can get my balance. Tense your right glute. Option to lift the right arm. Side bend to the left. Another nice option, my block is not within reach at the moment, but you could put your block down underneath your left hand. That's really nice to support that way. Inhale back up. So if we're not using the chair, we exhale, hands come to the floor. I'm going to tuck that back toe under to lift the knee up. And then I'm going to use the chair a little. We'll step that foot forward and stand up. Woo. Okay, we just have one more. And you might be doing all these standing. That's great. So let's inhale, sweep up. Exhale, soften the knees, dive down, hands to the chair or to the floor. You could even use blocks here. Left foot steps way back. We allow our knee to find the mat. You can come up and support. And maybe this is enough stretch that you're just going to stay here. And we can lift our left arm, engage the left glute, side stretch right. Eye gaze is straight forward. Make sure you're not dropping your chin down. That's going to bring you out of posture. Inhale back up. And you take your time to come back to your standing position. Rising up to your mountain pose. Slightly engage both glutes. Allow your hips to press forward a little bit. Draw your shoulder blades back. Keep your abdominals engaged. Really good posture here. So now we're going to do, without a side bend, we're going to do some of this work with a twist. So let's inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands can come to your chair or to the floor. We'll step the right foot back. The knee can be up or it can be down, either one. And we are going to twist open to the left side. So my left arm is going to come up. Engage your right glute. Here would be version on the floor. Your hand can be on a block as well. This hand doesn't have to be up. It can be to your waist, behind your back, wherever this feels good for you. Keep engaging this right gluteal. One more breath. Come out of your twist first. You decide what you're going to use for props, if anything, to step back in. And again, a couple little baby steps really does help to bring that back foot forward and to stand up. All right, just one more on the twist. Take a breath in. Exhale, hands come down. You can bypass the chair if you want. Come all the way to the floor. Step your left foot way back. We want this knee over the ankle. Back knee can come down or stay lifted. And we twist open to the right side. Choose what you need to do with your arm, with your shoulder here. Which glute are we engaging? Test, test. Left, you would be correct. Switch it on. One more breath. Come out of your twist first. Do what you can to step that back foot forward using any props you need. And come up to a really nice mountain with a little bit of engagement in both glutes, opening up both hip flexors. Pull your shoulder blades back. Allow your head to be floating above the cervical spine, not compressing. And then we're going to make our way down to our hands and knees. So I'm just going to move my chair forward a little bit. You can use yours if you need to come down. We'll inhale, come up. Exhale, swan dive. Hands can come to your chair, to the floor. And we'll step one foot at a time back behind us so that we can drop down to both knees. All right. So now from our hands and knees position, we know that there's some options here for wrists. We can come up onto our knuckles. Some of you like to put your hands on weights to kind of protect the wrists here. And then we'll take the right leg, send it straight back, bend the knee, and we'll press up toward the ceiling just a little bit so we've got our glute engaged. And then if it feels okay for you, come into spinal balance by lifting the other hand forward. And I even can touch my chair right here if I need to for a little stabilization. And we're going to do 5 little lifts with this right leg. So squeeze the glute and lift up, just small range. 4, scoop your abs in. 3, 2, and 1. If you need that left hand to come down, you can. Remember the sequence we did standing. We'll push up, down, circle around. Push up, down, circle around. Good. We have 3 more. Left hand can be up, down, circle around. 2 more. Lift, lower, open, and circle. 1 more. Up, down, circle around. Set the left hand to the floor, the right knee down. Take a break, maybe a child's pose. I'm going to actually come into a traditional balasana and bring my arms next to the sides of my legs and just relax the wrist and the shoulders. But anything that works for you, you can extend your child's pose out. Maybe do some wrist circles. Okay, let's repeat that sequence on the other side. So find your good all fours position. And you could be doing this standing too with your hands on your chair and your feet on the floor. So our left leg goes back. We bend the knee, flex the foot, and try to push up to the ceiling a little bit. Then your option is to release the right hand. Now for today, you just want to stay in this. This is good too. Then we're going to lift the leg up 5 times. So squeeze the glute, lift, slightly down. Lift and lower. 3 more. Hand can come down for a little bit more stability. You can touch your chair. 2 and 1. Now the sequence. We lift up first, up, down, circle out and around. Up, down, circle out and around. 3 more. Up and circle. Try not to move your pelvis when you're circling. 2 more. It can be really small in that thigh bone, in that hip socket. Last one. Up, down, circle. Release your right hand down, your left knee down. And take any break that you need to relax and recover. Now, one of the best exercises to work the glute and to release the hip flexor is the bridge. So let's adjust our body position to come down onto your back. And then I talked about at the beginning of class that we're going to be doing a supported bridge. I might not have said that in the recording. I might just have said it in the pre-class. So I want you to have something that you're going to use for your supported bridge close to you. So I've got a couple different sizes of blocks. When we come into the supported bridge, the block's going to come underneath the bottom of the sacrum or your hips. So have that available. Also, I want you to have your yoga strap available too to reach there. Okay, take your time to come on down onto your back. We'll be building strength in the glutes as we are lengthening the hip flexors. So let's start with your feet about hips distance apart, feet flat on the floor. And then we are going to do a straight spine hip lift. So I'm not going to roll up into bridge and roll down. I'm just going to keep my spine neutral and just lift the hips off the floor and set them back down. So when you set them down, I want you to have a neutral spine. So if there's a big curve in your lower back generally, that's what I want you to keep in place. And we'll lift up and lower down. So the higher we come up, makes sense that we get more of a stretch through the hip flexors, but we all have kind of our comfort zone. So I want you to find the edge of the height you can lift your hips, pause there, and release it down. Take it up, release it down. Just 3 more. Exhale, lift, pause, and lower. 2 more. Up, down. 1 more. Up, and down. Good. Now we're going to lift the hips and take our block, or if you have a pillow, something that you're going to lift the hips a little bit, we'll lift it up and slide that prop underneath the wide part of your pelvis. So it's not going to go on your lower back. If you put your hand behind you, your lower back is completely free. So holding this bridge will allow us to relax through the glutes a little bit. And we'll take the right knee in towards us. And then as you extend it out, completely straighten it and see if you can touch your heel all the way down to the floor. So this is opening up your hip flexor. And then we'll bring it in. We'll extend it out and lower it down, maybe tapping the heel. So this is the hip that I need to have replaced. So to be honest with you, all I'm feeling is bone on bone hip pain at the moment. But I am feeling a stretch too, but it's not that happy right now. So I'm just going to go maybe a little less and not touch the floor and just extend it out here. That's a little bit better. So you guys do what you can. It might feel like really nothing of a stretch to you if your hip flexors are pretty stretchy and relaxed. Let's do 2 more. And 1 more. And then we're going to bring that leg out as far as you can and just let it relax. That's going to be okay for me for a couple of breaths. So you can stay just like this, or your next challenge will be to try to push down into your left foot and to lift your hips a little bit up off your prop. So I'm going to push down and try to lift up. Ooh, I came up about a half an inch. Push down and lift up. So this is engaging your left glute, but it's also stretching your hip flexor more because you're bringing your pelvis up a little bit. Let's do just a couple more. Press and lift. Good. One more. Press and lift. And come down. Slide your foot back in so both feet are now on the floor. And I need to adjust my block a little bit because as I did those lifts, it kind of started sliding away from me. So make sure it's in the right spot. And then let's do that on the other side. So we'll bring the left knee in, extend it all the way out, and then see if it touches to the floor or not. And we come in and we go out. So if you don't have a block or anything under your hips, that's okay. You're still getting benefit from this exercise if you're laying just flat on the floor. So if the block just isn't working for you, take it out and do this movement completely on the floor. Good. Two more. One more. We'll send that leg out and we'll hold the stretch. So we're lengthening through that left hip flexor. And we can stay just like this, or we can use this right foot to push down into the floor and see if we can get our hips to come up just barely off of that block. So push and lift. 5. And come down. Up and lift. 4. This is really challenging. And up. 3. 2 more. Lift. Down. 1 more. Bring it up. And lower down. Great job. Slide that left foot back in to meet the right. You might need to adjust your block. So we are going to try extending both legs out at the same time. If it's not working for you, then maybe just do one at a time. Our first option is to keep our heels on the floor, and we're just going to slide the legs out, feeling a stretch, and slide them back in. Nice. Now that might bother your lower back. So if that's bothersome to you, go back to one leg at a time. We can also make this a little level up by bringing your knees in, letting your heels come to the floor, and gliding out. And do you have to go all the way out? No, that's okay. Come in, glide out. Another option would be not to let your heels touch the floor, so we could come in and glide out. Ooh. Maybe we just come in and right to here if we're feeling back issues. So you guys kind of play with this and see what your body can manage to do. A lot of core if you're doing this one suspended off the floor. Let's get a couple more. One more. And then I want you either to hold with your legs completely out, supported on the floor, or hold with your knees bent right here. Either one. See what your body can tolerate. And just a couple more breaths. So we are in a back bend right now, and it's really important that we always do a counter stretch when we're in our back bend. So we'll slide those feet back in. Press your feet into the earth. Lift up off the block a little bit. We'll do this 5 times. So we're going to come up, lower down to the block. 4 more. Press into the feet. Lift up. This is a lot easier than it was on the one leg, that's for sure. And 3 more. Lift. We're strengthening the glutes and we're opening up the hip flexors. 2 more. Up. Down. The last one will hold up. Then take your prop out from underneath your hips, slide it away, and then roll down 1 vertebra at a time. We'll hug both knees into the chest and maybe do some knee circles or rock side to side just to kind of release the muscles in the low back. We can stay here in our knees to chest, or we can take happy baby. So if we're doing happy baby, you're going to separate your knees a little bit. Bring your feet up like you're going to put them on the ceiling. So sometimes we make a mistake doing our happy baby right here. If you have to, it's not bad. It's just not going to give you the full effect of the stretch. And then you can take your hands, separate your knees a little bit, and pull down toward your armpits. If your feet are accessible to reach, your hands go in the or your arms go in the middle, but your hands come around the outside of your foot on either side, and we pull the knees down toward the armpits. You can also rock this a little bit side to side. Taking whatever level works for you. Knees to chest is fine. Couple more breaths. And then we'll set the feet down. We're going to roll over onto a side, into a sideline position. And I'm going to get my little pillow under the head here. I want you to be pretty comfortable. And we are going to stretch the top leg, quad, and hip flexor. So what I want you to first see is, can you reach your foot with your hand? If you can't reach it, maybe you can bring your leg forward and you can get it, and then you can pull it back. If that's still not working, then you have your magical yoga strap. And I'm going to make a little bit of a little loop through it. I'm going to bring my foot forward and take it through there. And then I'm going to be able to pull this back behind me. So I want you to find the stretch that works for you. And if you have to use that strap, that's no worries, because you're going to be able to get your leg back further. Because sometimes we can get it here, but then we can't get our leg to come back. Well, that's no hip flexor stretch. So I want you to be able to get your knee to come back behind your body if at all possible. If you don't have any props and you still can't do it, then you're just pushing back with your glute. And guess what? That's great. You're getting the extra benefit of working your glute. And speaking of that, I want everybody to tense up the glute, fire it as you pull that knee back and open up your hip flexor. So for class today, since our goal is to stretch the hip flexor, you don't necessarily need to have your heel come all the way to your bum, which will give you more of a quad stretch, but that's not really necessarily what we're looking for. You can have your heel way away from your glute and just pull back. And that's what we're looking for. Good. Let's stay here maybe another 30 seconds. Breathing. So this is our half bow pose in a sideline position. It can also be done on your stomach, so you could lengthen out this top leg and you could roll over onto your belly and keep the stretch going from there too. It's a great option. Something else to think about too here is this shoulder, so make sure that you're not feeling any strain there. right, one more breath. Exhale and release that side. Just relax. Now you can just completely roll to the other side away from your screen, or you can press yourself up and go to the other side facing forward. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. No rush to get there. Just take your time. Have all of your available props. Hey, that was my surgical knee, and I was able to grab the ankle, give it a good stretch. That is always exciting. When I went to see my surgeon a couple weeks ago, he said, "No, this has been a struggle, but because I never thought you'd be able to bend your knee that much. So that's good. Got to celebrate the small victories, right?" Okay, so let's see what we need to do on this side. So you kind of make this test. Can I grab the ankle? Can I not? Can I get it when it's here? Do I need to use my yoga strap? Take your time. You might have to sit all the way up to get the strap around your foot and then lay back down. Whatever you need to do here. So our goal is to bring the knee back behind the body somewhat. So we're opening the hip flexor, we're engaging the glute, we're being mindful of this shoulder. We can do it without any props, just squeeze and push back. To be honest, I feel this more when I'm not pulling with my hand because that's making me switch on the muscle more. So I'm getting more work in the glute and more relaxation in the hip flexor. Got another 30 seconds. I like the block for a pillow. Try to relax everything in your body except for this top leg glute. And that has a squeeze, very gentle. Two more breaths. And then release it down. Good. Take your time to press yourself up. And we're going to do kind of a challenging exercise next, or pose. So carte blanche to do this any way that you can to make this successful for you. So this is a reverse plank. So what I'm going to do is come here onto my seat, bring my hands behind me. I have my fingertips forward, but I'm going to slightly turn them out just a little bit. And then all we're going to do is just try to lift our bum up off the floor for maybe a second or two, and then we can set it down. Now, if you just did that and it's a no-go for you at all, using your arms just isn't going to work, roll back onto your back and do a regular bridge. This is kind of like a bridge, but we've got our hands on the floor, not our back. So we can kind of grow this from here by sending one leg long and lifting up here. We're going to press down into the straight leg heel and the bent knee bottom of the foot. And then we can come down. Now in between, if you need to shake out wrists, roll the shoulders, then we're going to try that on the other side. Hands back, other leg goes straight, other knee bends, and we're lifting the hips up. So we're tensing the straight leg, hamstring, and glute. We're tensing the bent knee, glute, and then we can come down. Shake it out. Now we're going to do two more sets. First set, both knees are bent. We did that at the very beginning. Hands are back and lift. The higher we lift, the more we work the glute, stretch the hip flexor, but the more our shoulders get really stretched. So this might not be okay. That's all right. And then come down. Shake it out. Last one, if you choose to follow along with my progression, both legs are straight, or you take your progression. Hands back. Lift. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hips come down and relax. So we created some tension in the hamstrings as well as the glutes. Now that gives us a little bit better opportunity to stretch the hamstrings and glutes with our yoga strap or without. We're going to sit tall. Loop that strap under the bottom of the feet. And maybe this is enough stretch for you today just to find good posture and a straight back. All of you know what works for you with these seated hamstring stretches. Maybe you're going to get off the floor, sit in your chair, put your back against the wall, whatever it might be. And then if you can find some room to come forward a little bit, explore your edge. Three more breaths. One more breath. And come up. Release that strap. I'm going to turn to face you as we're going to focus on one leg at a time so you can see the options I'm going to give you. So option 1, we're going to pull the right leg. Just bring it in here to a half butterfly. Option 2, this leg can fold over. So we are in a half cow face. These are 2 different hip stretches. Option 3, this leg's going to come out and around. This is the hurdler stretch. So if any of these hurt your knee, then skip over it, do something else. So hurdler, half butterfly, half cow face. It's going to change what we experience when we do our forward fold. So I'm going to place that strap under the bottom of the foot. Find that nice long spine and come find the edge. If none of those positions works, then perhaps you're just doing both legs extended forward again for just both legs forward fold for a second time. Let's get about 3 more breaths here. All right, inhale, release the strap. Relax for a moment. Just notice what you're feeling in your body. And what you do on this side might be different. So I'm going to kind of see what my hip can manage here. So option 1. That hip looks a lot different than the other, doesn't it? We're here. Option 2. Holding across. I don't think my knee's going to like this one. Option 3. Here. Oddly enough, I think I like this one. Okay, so let's go for whichever one works for you. And